Been taking a... Hey, Howlin' Bricks, how are you? Welcome aboard. Welcome to my first ever live stream. Something I've been wanting to do since I hit 1,000 subscribers. So I figured, what the heck? I just took a couple months hiatus due to work. Unfortunately, you know, life and work comes first. So now that the season's over for me, I'm back at it. So rather than stare at my ugly mug for the rest of the video, I'm going to flip the camera around. First things first, can you hear me okay over there? I'm not sure if the audio is coming out correctly or not. I'm like I said, it's brand new to me, so not sure if everything's working correctly. I know there's a little bit of a delay. If you can hear me, just give me a brief thumbs up, Holland. That'd be fantastic. Awesome, perfect. All right, I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to jump right into it. I've been working on some of these Marauder Task Force figures for a while and figured I'd share with you folks. So hopefully some other people jump in. Otherwise, it's just going to be you and me, Holland. So let me flip the camera around. All right, taking a look at the bench here. What I wanted to do was make some obscure figures that I don't have in my collection. Even though that the Collectors Club did release some figures, they didn't come out really that great, so I wanted to make my own version. First thing we're going to look at is a really simple figure, which of course this is Toll Booth. And if you're any type of G.I. Joe collector, you know that he actually came out in 1984. The Collectors Club did make a version of Toll Booth, but what I did is I kind of cheated. And what I mean by that is I made my own version of Toll Booth right here using 99% Marauders Task Force figure parts, the body itself, of course, the head, and the sledgehammer. But what I ended up doing is I used the same method that I used for when I built these sailors on my USS Flag. This is actually a Lego figures construction hat. And if any of you guys out there actually saw my video about how I built those sailors for my flag, you'll understand how I built this hat. Basically, you have to take the hat and Dremel out the inside of it, heat it up a little bit, and shape it to fit. So, yeah, you're right, Holland. The Collectors Club was absurdly overpriced. I will tell you this, and I'm not ashamed to say so, but being a G.I. Joe collector from the very beginning, being 1982, I was one of those guys that jumped on the Collectors Club back in the day. So I got them at, you know, the going price at the time. I was looking on eBay just to see what the prices were prior to shooting this video, and I was absolutely blown away by the uptick in incredible inflation that they're actually charging people. I guess only you rich hardcore Joe collectors can afford them now. But what I wanted to do was create some G.I. Joe figures, but I gave myself some limitations. I wanted to try to, with the exception of this figure, and I believe one other figure, I wanted to give the viewers an option to make their own versions of these figures using what's available on the Marauders Task Force website. I've been known to paint figures and do a lot of customization, but I was just trying to keep these to some relatively simple builds that, you know, anybody could actually go on the website and build. Again, I cheated with this. The only outside part is the Lego hat right here. Again, if anybody's curious as to how I did that, please take a look at my sailors for the USS Flag video. I went in pretty deep detail as to how I created that. So yeah, this is Toll Booth. What we're going to do is we're going to slide him back. Now the next figure that I was working on is the 1990 stretcher figure. Now if anybody was collecting Joes in the 1990s, you'd be familiar with this figure. This was the actual medic of the time. This is Stretcher. Really fantastic figure. He actually came with a lot of accessories. He has this hovering sled, a flare gun, the stick shift, and basically the premise was that he would take the injured and load them up on this sled and then, you know, fly them off to the Joe base to get them repaired up and be it that this figure also was never made for any type of modern form. I'm going to get this out of the way. I ended up, once again, now this one is 100% Marauders Task Force figure parts right here, and I created my own version of Stretcher. And what I wanted to do was make an updated version of what this figure actually looks like. And be it that I wanted to follow that he's got a yellow patch here, so I gave him a yellow piece of armor on his thigh, his left thigh. Of course, his holster would be on his chest. Mine's on his waist. One prominent thing you can notice about Stretcher is his big old backpack with the antenna. So Marauders Task Force actually offers their version of the backpack. Thanks, Holland. Appreciate that. Again, 100% Marauders Task Force figure parts here. Pretty simple recipe. This is just the communication backpack that you can actually get on their website with their World War II figures. It's got the gray lower body, the white upper body, and unfortunately they don't offer white short sleeve shirts on the website with the darker skin, so I ended up having to buy the camouflage version, which you really can't tell. It actually hides pretty well. So I went ahead and followed the blue kerchief around his neck to add a little bit of blue there. He's also sporting the M9 1145 gun. Now, if anybody's brought, you know, if you bought anything off of Marauders, you know that their guns are absolutely fantastic. You can see his finger is on the trigger. And what I did for his hat, they don't offer a hat in this fashion with a microphone, so I ended up having to drill a hole in the side of the hat and gluing in the microphone to recreate the actual look that, you know, the original has right there on the side of his right side of his head. He's got a microphone coming down to his hat, which of course reaches around to the back of his backpack. Now this ping pong paddle type thing on his chest is actually it's kind of hard to see. I'm trying to get the light to see it. There you go. It's actually an old-fashioned walkie-talkie hand speaker device. And, you know, of course, Marauders doesn't offer that. So what I ended up using was the backpack with the telephone. I was thinking about cutting off the bottom part of the telephone right here just to give it a single-handed mouthpiece effect. I'm not too sure. Might still do that further down the line, but I wanted to show people the base part that they can get off the Marauders Task Force site to get this. So the only other thing is being that he comes with, you know, like I said, oh, thanks, Brian. He comes with all these accessories. Unfortunately, you could buy another set of these to add to him if you wanted to. These are relatively inexpensive on the aftermarket. You do have to hunt down the handlebar. What's up, Blue Pen? How are you? The one thing I will warn you guys is that if you're going to buy these parts on the aftermarket, this windshield is extremely fragile and unfortunately the most expensive piece if you're looking to add that to your collection. So this is my version of the 1990 Stretcher figure, and once again they never made an updated version of this figure, so I figured I'd give it a shot and create my own. So we'll slide him back, and hopefully he doesn't tip over, because you know these guys can be a little top heavy, especially with the backpacks on. All right, for my next figure, I ended up going with the 1986 Iceberg. Now, this figure, of course, they did make a modern version of it for the Collectors Club. He was right around the first, I think the third wave of Collectors Club figures. I'd have to look that up, so don't quote me. The figure was nice, but it was actually a little too skinny, a little too scrawny, if you ask me. I actually do own the figure. They ended up using like the Snow Serpent kerchief around his neck to give it that look of fur around his neck. And the goggles weren't removable. And I mean, it was a decent looking figure, but as with the other Collectors Club figures, they were, you know, really expensive on the aftermarket right now. One thing about Iceberg here is he actually sports this really large machine gun, which I thought was pretty funny for a snow trooper, all in white. I believe this is some type of, not a saw, but like an M240 Bravo type machine gun. Nice looking machine gun for the time. So what I end up doing, and I'll slide him off to the side here, my updated version of Iceberg. Again, this is 100% all Marauders Task Force parts. Is I created my own version of Iceberg right here. And this is simply enough the entire white Arctic Ops trooper body with the green vest. As you can see, he has some grenades and smoke grenades right there on his chest. So I mimicked that on this figure as well. His goggles are removable, and of course his winter hat is removable as well. He's got the green gloves. Relatively simple build. He's just got the white bandolier going around to the back. And now on this figure, it has like this lime or mint green vest. Unfortunately, the website doesn't offer that, so I had to go with the next best thing. Next, you know, I think this just gives him a really nice updated look. And to mimic the gun that the original came with, I did end up buying right off the website as well the M240 Bravo machine gun. Again, a really fantastic looking gun with the working bipod. Also has a removable scope on top. And I think this is just a really great update to the original. You know, of course, this one's painted in white. And I could have went above and beyond and wrapped this in white. Again, to reiterate, I was just trying to keep these relatively simple, just so that anybody that wanted to go on the website could drop the stuff in the cart and try to build these figures on their own without having to use any painting skills of any type. So, yeah, this is the 86 Iceberg figure. Slide him back. Now, full disclosure, I haven't glued all these parts on yet. I was still playing around with them. Not sure if I like the final build. Once you do glue them, though, you're pretty much stuck with the way you actually create these figures. So just be aware. And as I'm looking at Iceberg, one last thing I did want to point out is on his neck right here. This is that large neckature for schmog, or I'm not sure what they call it on the website. And now the website version has all these frills all around it. So what I ended up doing was just trimming those off to give it a nice clean look to it. I didn't want all that extra frills and things to stick off, because on the original back here, he has a nice clean neck cut right there. So I wanted to try to mimic that as best as I could. All right, so the next figure, I'm going to see if anybody can guess who he is. I'm going to slide him on camera and I'll pause for a few minutes just to see if anybody can name this guy. See if there's any hardcore G.I. Joe collectors out there. You get the attaboy if you can name him right off the bat. This figure, I'll give you a few hints. This figure is a vehicle driver. He was released in 1989. One of the more obscure figures. The vehicle is the large, what the heck was it called? Arctic Blast. Hey, there you go. Blue Pen's a Joe fan. He got it right off the bat. So yeah, so this is my version, or the original version of Wind Chill from 1989. Another figure that Holland, no idea. That's all right, Holland. If you go on yojo.com and you start flipping through the pages, you'll see all these obscure characters. The majority of my characters I built are from 88 and 89, with the exception, of course, of Tollwolf back there, and Iceberg, of course. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure why they never released a modern version of Wind Chill. This is quite an interesting character. He's got some gray camo upper body, jacket going on here. And one odd thing that always struck me as funny when I was a kid is they actually painted his eyes yellow, which I thought was a little creepy. I guess saving on paint costs and mold costs back then. But he comes with this really interesting gun. Not really sure what this is. I looked it up. Again, I couldn't find the actual name. G.I. Joe is really good at fantasizing a lot of their weapons and vehicles, of course. So, but I always thought this was a cool gun with like this banana stalk in the back like that. So anyways, enough about the original figure. What I ended up doing was building my own version of the 1989 Windshield figure. Oh, you didn't buy any after 87, Holland? Yeah, I can honestly say that G.I. Joe I've been collecting since 82. Pretty steadily since then. As I got older, I started picking and choosing the second version works well with Big Ben. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good point there, Blue Pen. I haven't really stopped collecting G.I. Joe. As I got older and, you know, of course, a little bit more disposable income, I started picking and choosing the figures that I really wanted. I do have an entire collection of vintage figures from 82 all the way up to 90. I'm going to do a video on those in the near future. So what I ended up doing, be it that they never released a modern version of Windchill here, I went on the Marauders Task Force website. I did cheat. I used a little bit of G.I. Joe parts. This original figure actually came with a set of black skis. The funny thing about these skis, if you notice, they actually put a minigun on the front of the skis, which, again, when we were kids, we really didn't pick up on this, but as adults, you look at this, this is relatively funny. I'm not sure how he was supposed to aim these without pointing his toe in that direction, but, you know, that was G.I. Joe for you. So Windchill came with these original skis. Now, regarding my version of Windchill, what I did was, I'm going to take this off because it's probably going to fall off anyways. I borrowed a set of skis from the 50th anniversary snow job. And what I ended up doing was just using one of those Marauders clips right there to hold the ski pole on. As you can see, and this is completely removable. This does pop out. And then if you use this peg right here, you can actually peg it into any one of the ports on the backpack, which I thought was, you know, pretty cool. You can put the skis on here and take them with you. So that's his version of the skis. Now the only other thing I did to this figure was I ended up having to paint a mustache on his face. This is one of those new head sculpts from the World War II line. As you can see on the original, he does have a bright blonde Hulk Hogan type yellow mustache. Not so much the handlebar, but the color. So what I had to do was, you know, mimic that with this figure, because the only mustache figures that they had were the first release figures, and I wanted to switch it up because it seems like everybody seems to use those heads a lot. So I wanted to make my own version. Again, steady hands and a little bit of yellow paint. I think it came out relatively well. He has removable goggles on his ski cap. Of course, the ski cap is removable. Gray camo upper body with the entire gray loadout, the bandolier, shoulder straps. He's got the web belt right there with the pistol holder. Now, I ended up giving him a modern version of the M1911 pistol, which will go in his holster. Again, a Marauders Task Force part right here. Fantastic looking detail on these things. And for his gun, trying to match this crazy looking original, I ended up using the AUG 77 gun from Marauders Task Force, just because I thought it was really unique looking. It doesn't match the original completely, but it is pretty unique looking, and I thought it suit this figure well. So I'm not sure if that's coming off on camera. Looking at the back of the figure, pretty simple, like I said. Holland, I had every other figure from 84 to 87 as a kid, sold them all in a yard sale for 50 cents. 50 cents a piece back in 91. I still kick myself every day. Yeah, you know, Holland, I'm sure you do, because if you go on the aftermarket and look at some of the prices of even the later release figures in the 90s, they're still price gouging everybody, which is I guess they're cashing in on this nostalgia of us old timers, I guess. But yeah, I'd be kicking myself too. I was lucky enough to have the wherewithal to stick them in a shoebox and take care of them. Let's see, would Sculpey work for the mustache? It would, Blue. I mean, you could use Sculpey. My advice, in my opinion, it is so small, and I'm going to try to get nice and close so you can see. If you use paint and you put the paint on 2 to 3 layers, it gives it just enough thickness to stand off the face. I don't know. I'm not that great with Sculpey. I've only used it maybe 2 or 3 times. I just find I can get the same results just using a paintbrush with a little bit thicker paint. So as you can see, see if I can get him to focus again. There we go. Very, very simplistic build. All great parts for the bandolier, shoulder strap, web belt, holster, a little bit of armor on his legs. If I flip them around the back, I didn't put any pouches or anything back here. That's one of the beautiful things about Marauders Task Force figures is all these open slots. You can buy all sorts of pouches and things to fill them in if you want to. This is one of the figures I have not glued all the parts into yet because I'm still not sure what else I want to add to him. I mean, he is pretty simplistic. In order to fill in, as you can see, like on his shoulder, there's nothing there, but on these Marauder shoulders, there are peg holes. So I didn't want to leave just this gaping hole on the side of his, his bicep. So I ended up putting some pouches on either side. And I really think that, building these new figures like this really gives us a nice modern version of some of these vintage figures. And the beauty is, and the ironic thing is a lot of the original G.I. Joe vehicles will fit your modern figures. There's very few in my collection I can't get a modern, 4-inch figure in. I find it kind of funny that who would have known so many years later they were going to build more modern versions of figures, and we'd still be able to get those figures in those modern, those vintage vehicles. It's quite the surprise to me as I was starting to shoot videos and trying it out on, off camera, and when I do a G.I. Joe video, I generally show the vintage figure and then its modern counterpart, only if it was built by Hasbro. That's why I figured I'd start building some of my modern figures with Marauders parts, because a lot of us collectors are familiar with the website. And again, trying to keep these simplistic so anybody can just get on the site and do it themselves. So yeah, this is my version of the 1989 Wind Chill figure. Get him off to the side here. And put his counterpart next to him. Running out of camera space back here. All right, let's see. Let's see, Blue. You guessed the last one. Let's see if you can guess this one, guy. Here's another really obscure figure. Now, he's from 1990. He also is a vehicle driver. And unfortunately, they never built a modern version of this figure. I really, really like not only this figure, but the vehicle he comes with. And I was scratching my head on how to build a modern figure using Marauders Task Force parts. I mean, you are unfortunately limited, even though they have a huge variety of accessories on their website. Well, you're 2 for 2. That's right. He is Cold Front from 1990, and he actually drives the Avalanche, which is a really large snow vehicle. It also has a detachable accessory off the back. So my version of the Cold Front figure is right here. Again, this is 100% Marauders Task Force parts. And just full disclosure, I am not sponsored by Marauders. I just champion them because they put out some really great product, really affordable products, and they're continually updating. I started collecting them when they first started their Kickstarter way back in the day. Then their Valkyries, then their contract ops, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the mic is a pain. With a lot of these vintage figures, one of the unfortunate things as children we never really thought about. Now what he's referring to, folks, is this microphone right here is removable, just like on a lot of the other vintage figures. And rather than molding that or gluing that in place, you can just pop that off. Nice strong breeze will pop that off. Same goes for his visor too. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Blue, but his visor does pop off as well. So my version, of course, is right here. Now they don't offer this color orange and the Goodyear tire looking, rounded out leg armor. So what I ended up doing was updating mine a little bit. I went with the brown bottom legs. And here's a little trick for you guys. I'm sure if you haven't already noticed, but if you heat up these figures, you can get these joints relatively gummy, and you can actually pop the original legs off and pop, the other versions or the other colors on, and of course use the color pin of the lower leg here. Just adds a nice touch to it. That's how I got these legs on here, if you weren't aware. So looking at this figure, he has brown lower legs, cloth legs. He doesn't have the armor legs. He's sporting a white knife on his right thigh, just like the original figure. He's got a knife right there. On the original, he has a gray holster on his chest, so I try to mimic that as well. I end up using two bandoliers crisscross on his chest. He's got the gray web belt with all the pouches on. This is another figure. Of course, I didn't glue this on yet. I wasn't liking how this bandolier was sitting originally. I think I got it low enough on his shoulders now because it kept riding up and kind of choking him. So I was scratching my head on how to do that. I ended up heating these up and stretching them out a little bit and not letting them, take their shape as they cool down. I kept them stretched out and was able to slip them on. Now looking at the neck here, of course on the original he had a fur line around his neck, and what I ended up doing is using another one of those gray neck chiefs. And as you can see on this one, unlike Iceberg back there, you can see this one has some of the frilly things around it, or not even sure what those are called, to be honest with you, but I ended up leaving those on him. I might trim those off just to clean that up as well. He also has the mic. Now these goggles right here, these yellow goggles, that I will admit was a little bit of a pain. What I had to do was, these are some of the flight goggles that you can use with the flight helmets. And what these do is on the very center, when Marauders makes the space figures, we might get legs that work. Yeah, good point. Good point. I know that they're going to be coming out with their Vietnam figures next. I'm not sure exactly when. And then there were rumors of the space. There were rumors of ocean type figures. They were also supposed to release quite a few new head sculpts. I'm hoping that they do hold true to that and keep the variety coming, because again, if they keep doing that, I'll keep championing them and keep buying their products. Regarding his yellow or orange goggles right there, so that's a flight helmet set of goggles, and behind this port or plug on the top of his helmet, there's a hole. What I ended up having to do is just basically cutting off that stem that goes behind those goggles to go into the flight helmet, cutting off the nub, leaving the stem, and gluing it to the underside of the helmet to, obviously recreate that effect right there. So that is glued in place. They are not going to come off, and of course if you take them off, they stay right in there. And I'll give you a quick little peek inside there. I end up just gluing it in place right there like that. And again, now he represents the original relatively well. I did see a version online that somebody ended up using elastics around his legs and everything else, and like I said at the beginning of the video, and I'll probably continue to repeat myself, I wanted to keep these builds relatively simple. So anybody that doesn't have the skills to do some painting or customizing can basically kit build or smash these figures together and add them to their collection. Now, regarding the original, he has this really unique, speaking of space guns there, blue pen. I'm not even sure what the heck this gun is called. Let me just take it out of the figure's hand. Again, a really sci-fi looking space gun with this oversized silencer on the front. I'm pretty well versed with the most firearms, but I just, again, fantasy back in the early 80s, and they didn't have anything that came close to this on the Marauder site. So that's why you don't see any gun with my build yet. I didn't want to just give them another M911 or any one of those other guns that they offer. I'm going to hold off. I might even go into the modern bin of my Joe figures, and I have a whole bunch of parts in some of my bins. I might find something that's suitable. So I've opted not to give him a gun just yet. But so yeah, so this is my version of the 1990 Avalanche Driver Cold Front. Pretty simplistic, and be it that they didn't make an updated version, now I have one in my collection. All right, I have two more to go. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all these guys on camera here, so let's stagger these guys right here. All right, when I'm blocking everybody. Get his gun out of the way. All right, Blue, you're 2 for 2. Let's see if you got this one. This should be relatively easy. This guy was also released in 1989. Again, he's a vehicle driver. Now, with this particular figure, he did come with a pistol. I was looking for his original pistol before the video, and for the life of me, I couldn't find it anywhere. It's almost like a version of a pistol with a sniper scope on top, and I can't find it. I guarantee you I'll find it after the video is over, but it'll then be a moot point. Well, there you go. Blue pen, 3 for 3. All right, you are absolutely right. This is long range. He's the driver of the Thunderclap, that enormous 3-part vehicle that separates with the cannon in the middle. If you're not familiar with it, Holland, do I collect modern Star Wars? Absolutely do. I have an entire collection of I started collecting what's called the vintage collection when they went modern with the highly articulated figures. I started collecting them then. It got to the point where they released upwards of 100 figures, and then it stalled out for a while. And I'm not sure if you followed that line at all or not, but it stalled out for a few years, and then they ended up starting to re-release them once they started reviving the Star Wars brand on Netflix and re-releasing the videos and things of that nature. And now they continue to pump out the vintage figures in crazy amounts. Some of the figures that they have released as of late are re-releases of the ones that you couldn't get or missed out when they first came out. So I didn't end up buying any of those because I don't want duplicates. I don't really need duplicates, of course. Even though they came with a different card back, I'm not that obsessive about collecting. If I have the figure, I'm happy. I don't need the 15 versions of the changed up art on the card and sell points on the back and things of that nature. So yeah, to answer your question, I do. Oh yeah, great. They are a fantastic line. I'm still debating. The room I'm in now, I will admit, I've been working on this room for quite a while, trying to get my collection room together. I utilized a small room in my house that wasn't being used, and when I hopefully get to that video, I will actually show you my collection. So, all right, back to long range here. So this is my modern version of the long range figure. This figure is 100% Marauders parts. This is one of those figures, since we don't get 4-inch Joes anymore. Yeah, they've gone back to the O-ring style, which is fine by me. Again, I'm an O-ring champ. I know a lot of collectors are sour about that. I don't mind. I think the prices, again, like anything else, have gone up. You have to really love collecting them to pay those prices. But yeah, I'm not sure why they don't release the modern versions of G.I. Joe anymore, or the 4-inch figures, excuse me. Hopefully, like anything else, they die off for a while, they go away, and then Hasbro realizes that they have, you know, an opportunity to make money on these figures, and they'll start re-releasing them again, and hopefully more modern ones. All right. Oh, thank you, Blue. Yeah. So this is long range. Now, the original figure had this really crazy looking helmet, as you can see, really oversized helmet, and basically it has some type of scope. Now, if you're familiar with this vehicle, it kind of makes sense, because he needs to range out, hence his name, where he's going to launch those large mortars. And I think it's, you know, in my mythos, this is computer generated to the computer system on the vehicle, and he can do everything right there from his headset. Trying to recreate this helmet was a pain. Wasn't really sure. This isn't 100% accurate, as close as I could get for the now. So what I did was, here we go. This is one of those new John Wick released orange hair versions of the head sculpt, because of course the original has, you know, the ginger hair color. This is one of those exosuit eyepieces. He's got the flip down binoculars right there, so he can range with that if he needs to. And it also has one cool addition, is it actually has the antenna on that piece right there. Had to go with the black and white vest, because they don't offer just a solid white vest outside of camouflage. Again, keep in mind my updated versions, I wanted to bring up to, say, the Pursuit of Cobra, you know, level, which was, you can look at the figure and tell who he is, but with a modern interpretation, and of course a lot more modern articulation and things of that nature. His gun, like I said, I don't have. I ended up giving my version, again, a modern version of the M191145. This time it's in updated tech is better to older. Yeah, absolutely. This has a gunmetal color to it. Again, Marauders is known for not only the figures now, but they started out making weaponry. This is another figure that I kit bashed lower legs by heating them up, taking the pins out, and attaching it to the green upper thighs. Relatively simple. He's got a green web belt on with some pouches. Around the back, nothing going on back here. There's still a hole for a backpack if you wanted to. Fortunately, the original didn't come with a backpack of any type, so no need for that. And as I said earlier, the Thunderclap, one benefit of the Thunderclap, and also one of the drawbacks, is the driver's seat is absolutely wide open. It has no bottom to it, so the feet kind of hang out, kind of like a child's swing, if you will. If you're not familiar with the vehicle, shoot over to 3D Joes, and they have a really fantastic website where you can do a 360 spin of any vehicles you might not have or seen before, and it gives you a really great look at what I'm talking about. But this figure will absolutely fit in the Thunderclap, and yeah, again, I'm really scratching my head. I know that the Collectors Club reached pretty deep into the well for some of their figures, but they omitted quite a few of the later released drivers for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but so it gave me something to do, and I came up with my own versions. So this is my version of the 1989 Thunderclap driver long range, and I have one left to show you guys. I'm not sure if I'm going to get all these guys on screen here, but we're going to try my best without knocking anything over. There we go. Now for the last figure, now I never had the, I had it, I lost it, and now I'm going to re-get the figure. And this is pretty obvious. Once I put him on camera, you guys are going to know exactly who he is. You could also use the Joy Toy helmet with the eyepiece. No, yep, you're absolutely right, Blue. At the beginning of the video, I stated for the viewers that I gave myself a limit as to what I'm going to use. I wanted to keep these things relatively simple, using what people can just jump on the website and get. Yep, Dusty, exactly. This is the 1991 version of Dusty. The I do have the ability to paint and sculpt and stuff like that. If you've seen any of my other videos, I did a couple of Joy Toy figures that I actually painted from head to toe. I bought some of those blanks that they had released once upon a time. Yeah, I'll slide them in to show you. So this whole figure was absolutely 100% gray, and I did a video speeding things up, showing you how I painted him. What I wanted to do for this particular video, though, was create figures that anybody could just jump on the website that didn't have a lot of painting skills or sculpting skills and try to smash these things together. So I'm trying to keep them as simple as I possibly could. I'm going to get him off camera. It's not his video. He already had his turn. All right, you over there. So regarding this Dusty, now this Dusty, like I said, came out in 1991. The original was like a tangerine orange. It was a great looking figure, a great update. He didn't have the Havelock helmet on the back. He did have a beret, and he also came with a coyote by the name of Sandstorm. Now the G.I. Joe's Collectors Club did release a modern version of him. I do have that figure. It's a really great looking figure. Of course, with all the other Hasbro figures, they just take the parts that they have in their pool, repaint them, and put them together. But for those of you that don't have the modern updated version from Hasbro, this is an alternative for you. He has the newly released camo legs right there. I really love this new desert camo that they came out with. I think that their skills of painting and colors are just phenomenal, and every time they release something with camo, it just blows me away, because this is almost like a chocolate chip. I think they call it the chocolate chip camo in the military, or something to that effect. Now the only part that's not Marauders is the actual head. This is a 25th anniversary Dusty head. I have a whole bin full of parts, and I was going to use a Marauders Task Force head, but I said, you know what? If the viewers want to use Marauders, they absolutely can. I just happen to have this head laying around, and it's funny, the skin tone actually matches relatively well. He has the goggles on that can fit on the head, which are removable right there. He has the brown bandolier web belt one piece. The original figure did have a smoke grenade and a regular pineapple type grenade on his web belt, so I added that. Of course, every Dusty figure comes with a FAMAS. Fantastic looking gun. This is from the Marauders website with the working bipod there, excuse me. I ended up putting on elbow pads, give him a little bit more urban look. Another bandolier going across the chest with a masthead fit with pieces as well. Absolutely, they absolutely will. All the masked heads, are you talking about the masked Marauders heads? If so, yes. If not, let me know what you're talking about, Blue, and maybe I can help you. So this is my version, or updated version, of the 1991 Dusty figure. Now, the Collectors Club did release their version of Dusty with a repainted Timber figure, I guess. Yeah, I think it was Timber. The masked Dusty head. Yes, all Marauders Task Force neg pegs will fit your modern G.I. Joe heads, and all the Marauders Valkyrie, female bucks or bodies, will also fit the female G.I. Joe heads you might have in a bin lying around anywhere. That's one beauty. You can swap out parts. I didn't even have to heat that head up or anything. I just popped it on there, and it fits on there perfectly. Now the original came with a small orange Coyote was, bright orange, static, didn't move, didn't have any articulation. The Collectors Club also came with a recolored version of Timber, which is brown. And the funny thing is I wasn't going to add the Animal Companion. And just by sheer luck, I was digging through my bin, and I found this guy. And this is pretty close to the Collectors Club release. This is the Timber that came with the 2008 Snake Eyes, and that was actually I think it was Snake Eyes versus 3 Red Ninjas or something. Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 Red Ninjas, and that version of Snake Eyes came with this only color of Timber. So I'm like, okay, well, I will add that to him and give him his Animal Companion after all. I was going to use one of the Marauders Task Force German Shepherds. Of course, they only come with gray and white and the brown German Shepherd colors, the all black. And I had to refrain myself from, painting one up to make it look like it. But again, with or without the Animal Companion, if you have a Timber laying around, you can certainly use that. I just, again, lucked out and had this version laying in my box. I noticed a variance in socket depth on some heads, so I have to test fit most customs. The only figures that I found, and again, I'm no expert, Blue, I just have quite a few figures. The only head sculpts that I've, believe it or not, found that were deeper. No, yeah, they're actually deeper. They're not shallow. Snake Eyes is the only one that I've ever had a problem with, and that's of course, there's about 500 versions of Snake Eyes out there. A handful of them came with these double, really long necks. Like if you pop the heads off some of the modern Snake Eyes figures, they have like a double ball, which is really strange, and I'm not sure why they did that. 99% of my other G.I. Joe figures, I've had absolutely no problem at all. I'd be curious to see which ones you, if you come across any, please leave a comment after the video is posted. I'd be curious to see which ones you're having trouble with, and I'd like to check them out myself to see if I had the same problems. But yeah, so this is my take on my updated Marauders Task Force figures. Let me slide everybody in. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to throw them up there right now. Let me get all these vintage guys out of the way. One last look at the modern updated guys. If any of you guys watch ODC, that's me. This is actually his favorite character, which is pretty funny. He talks about him quite frequently. So if ODC, you watch us on playback, that one's for you, buddy. Let's see. Get these guys out of the way. I apologize. I know the background's really busy. That's why I'm trying to bring them in close so the camera will just focus on these guys. And let's bring Stretcher in. Now, regarding Toll Booth back here, I just want to bring him in front. I have one comment about him. Now, after I built this figure, the original Toll Booth, as you can see, has a brown vest on him. They have since released vests for the male figures in brown, black, and denim. And I might take this bandolier off, or this this strapping over shoulders and waistband, and add the brown vest to finish off the figure. Just a thought. Or I might leave him the same. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So I'm going to take him off camera because he's a work in progress. All right, let's see. I've noticed a variance. Okay, I already read that one. How did you acquire the hard hat? Oh, I missed. Oh, okay. All right, let me bring it back on camera. So about 6 months ago, I shot a video of my USS Flag aircraft carrier, and I wanted to have sailors on that aircraft carrier. And what I ended up doing was I shot a video on how I got, and actually I'll grab one, if you excuse me for a second. Let me slide him in, and I'll show you. So this sailor right here is 100% Marauders Task Force parts, with the exception, of course, the sailor's hat. I shot a video on how I did that, but I'll give you a brief description. These are actually Lego parts from the small Lego figures. They sold a Lego sailor, and this is actually the Lego sailor hat. What you have to do, unfortunately, there's a little bit of work to them, is you have to take the hat off the figure, and inside the helmet itself, there's a port to fit on top of the small round Lego figures' heads. I had to Dremel that out and hollow that out, and let me see, it's not glued on, so I'll pop it off and show you. So basically what you have to do is you have to hollow that out with a Dremel, and then because Lego figures are perfectly round, none of these figures have a perfectly round head, they're more egg shaped, and you have to heat this up a little bit with either boiling water or a blow dryer. And then what I did is I squeezed it a little bit to give it that egg shape, and lo and behold, after trial and error, they do fit on all these modern heads relatively well, and they don't fall off either, unless you make a liar of me on camera. 90% of them, if you heat them up and just squish them on the head, they won't fall off. And I'll show you right here with the sailor. It doesn't fall off at all, and believe it or not, that's not even glued on. That's just stuck on his head. So yeah, a little bit of work, I suppose. In the video of these sailors, feel free to check it out. I explained more in detail how I did it. I also explained that if you wanted to, you could stick some Sculpey in there or sticky tack, and avoid all that extra work. I have a little bit of, admittedly, OCD when it comes to my figures. I don't mind taking the extra mile, extra steps, and getting these to fit on here without assistance. And also, I found that sticky tack tends to leave a residue on your figures, and I could be wrong, but I believe that after a while it might start, causing the paint rub as well. It might start taking some of the paint off the figures, and I just don't want to deal with any of that. I'd rather spend a little bit more time and make the actual helmet work or whatever I'm using work on the figures without using the sticky tack stuff. So, yeah, I know, Holland. I know you watch ODC. We've crossed paths before, buddy. You haven't posted any videos in a while. I know you've probably been busy, but yeah, I subbed to your channel a while ago, so you have some time, throw some videos up, guy. Blue Pen, I've been molding old corpse figure hats. That's a fantastic idea, Blue. I'd never even thought of the old corpse figures hats. I just happened to come across a Lego figure from my son's box of Legos. I'm like, I wonder if that would work. And so I started fooling around with it a little bit. And lo and behold, like I said, on the sailors, they worked out really well. And of course, they also sell construction workers, and they sell police and things of police and fire and stuff like that. But Marauders just released their police officer figures, so you don't have to go through all that trouble. I may do a version of a fireman figure. I'm not sure if my brother's still watching, but he commented earlier. He's a retired fireman, and I was thinking about creating a figure, in honor of his 20 plus years on the department. And if you're listening, brother, I might be making a figure for you. Yeah, so they have fireman figure helmets and things like that nature. I might have to use this same, technique to build a fireman. But all right, if anybody have any other questions, wait a few minutes. I know there's a little bit of delay on the chat. Oh yeah, just busy, Holland. No, trust me, I understand. I haven't shot a video in literally 2 months because again, if my name Woodman didn't give it away, I'm a carpenter by trade, and this has been my busy season. So unfortunately, my fun geek out time had to wait, and I had to get some work done. But now the season's over, and I can get back to my geekdom down here. So all right. Sounds good. Good. I'm glad you stuck around for the whole video. All right, guys. If you have any other questions, shoot them my way. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. I've been going on for just about an hour now. like to thank you guys for, taking time out of your day, of course, and jumping in and checking out my customs. Blue Pen, of course. Holland Bricks. Brian, thank you. Thank you. All right. There you go, guys. That's pretty obvious. That's my brother out there. 584. All right. All right. I thought I was pretty sure that's what your badge number was. But now you've made me 100% sure. So, all right, guys, I really like to thank everybody for watching. I'm going to be doing some more of these in the near future. I have a whole nother wave of Marauders Task Force figures I built. Holland says, thank you for your service, Brian. Yeah, thank any public service, whether it's a fireman or a police officer, or of course military, man. Those guys put their necks out, and they deserve your respect 100%. Again, I'm going to be shooting another video in the near future. I made another whole wave of Marauders Task Force figures. Hopefully you guys will come back and check it out. Again, thank you for joining my very first live stream. Wasn't sure how it was going to go, but it seems like it went off without a hitch. So, absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome over there, Brian. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you soon. And I always end my videos with this one little statement. Share you as well, Brian. Share your knowledge, and I truly believe that as really like the live stream, enjoy creators' outlooks. Thank you, Blue Pen. I appreciate that. I end all my videos with share your knowledge, and the meaning behind that is, I try to build a community of like-minded people that enjoy this kind of stuff. And if you have any ideas or any tips and tricks, I have obviously a Facebook page, which I'll share in the link, after the video is over. And feel free to post any of your ideas, man. I love hearing people's ideas, and you never know, one simple idea like these Lego hats might help out a whole group of people that were stumped on how to create a certain figure. So thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you guys coming around, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next one. So thanks, Holland. Love you too, pal. Get some videos up there. Make some happy time for yourself. All right, guys, have a good weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.